Dijeron igualdad, pero esta vez me separaron. Dijeron mucho, pero no se olvidaron de callarse. Cuánto odio por mi piel sembraron. Dijeron historia y la tergiversaron. Dijeron guerra, muerte, odio y nos culparon. Siempre. Enfermedades, epidemias nos contagiaron. Exterminación de mi fauna complace a tus mercados. Dijeron riqueza y todos se lo robaron. Oro, platino, diamante, a la fuerza se lo llevaron. Y la actualidad es tan triste que todo aquello que dijeron es lo mismo que hoy se dice más. ¿Quién dice, quién explota, quién se beneficia? El asesino, el mismo que da las noticias. Hay una cuenta fácil que siempre me da las grandes riquezas, de dónde vienen y hacia dónde van.
Independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao, independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao. Nati Dre es afroresistencia, cultura ancestral, afrodescendencia, solidaridad. Esa es la esencia, la diáspora africana eleva la conciencia, conciencia negra, universal, progresista y transcultural. Negros y mestizos revolucionando, pueblos caribeños y africanos en un solo bando. No más explotación, colonialismo interno, no más confusión, supremacía blanca en el Babilón. Soy rojo, negro y verde, afroliberación. Mientras más negro, más represión. Somos creadores, recupera tu visión. Mi misión es educar con amor, contra el silencio, vivo sin temor. Independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao, independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao.
What's happening, good people? This is Rise Up International Morning Show. You know what we do around here. You know what I mean? We got the Battle of the Africans today. You got Bouna riding shotgun. What's happening, Bouna? How you feeling?
It's all good. How are you?
Hey, man. I'm alive on arrival. Good to see you. It's looking like it's just us today. What you think about that?
Yeah, Ikemba will probably be joining us.
Okay. You got faith in him, huh?
At least that's what he said, right? We'll see if he...
Okay, we'll know about Ikemba sometime.
Just an empty promise or an actual commitment.
You will know whether the empty promise or act of commitment, whether he coming or not. We dig it. Yeah, man. For folks who are unaware, today is still Black August. Today is what we call a flea day, and we talk about Black August and we talk about flea days. There's 4 very important dates during the month of August. The first date would be on August 1st. Which is the medical assassination of Katari Golden, which took place on August 1st, 1978. The second flea day is when Jonathan Jackson went inside the Marin County Courthouse, handled business, him and William Christmas, James McClain, Rochelle McGee, and others who were passed tools to fight off the oppressor and make sure that the people get the proper information going. Of course, there was an attack, an assault by the state when they shot up the van, and a number of casualties, including Jonathan and James McClain, William Christmas. Also, the Judge Harold Haley, lost his life on that day. We're not celebrating or commemorating the judge. That's a casualty of war. The other third day is August 13th, when we commemorate the assassinations of Alvin Juggs Miller, W.L. Nolan, and Cleveland Edwards. Those 3 brothers were murdered, assassinated. Let's get our politics right. They were assassinated on a yard at Soledad. Of course, W.L. Nolan was a partner of Field Marshal George Jackson. They co-founded the Black Guerrilla family. Of course, they were murdered. They were assassinated. Those 3 brothers on the yard by Opie Miller, a sharpshooter, during an altercation with Aryan Nation. They were setting it off on the Aryan Nation, Aryan Brotherhood, and of course, the European assassin decided to fire shots at these brothers, and they left them on the yard to bleed out. That's August 13th. And of course, today, August 21st, we commemorate the assassination of Field Marshal George Jackson. George Jackson was the honorable Field Marshal, courtesy of Minister UEP Newton of the Black Panther Party. So we commemorate these 4 days, these 4 main days. Of course, there's a number of different things that took place during the month of August. Sometimes folks lose clarity. Those things existed, but that wasn't why Black August was commemorated. Black August was commemorated primarily because of political prisoners who lost their lives primarily inside of the California prison system during the 70s. But today's a couple other great things that took place today. You had the Nat Turner Rebellion.
Yeah.
Remember Nat Turner today. Okay. And we also have
14th of August, 1831.
That's right. And we cannot forget one of our most prized victories, the Haitian Revolution.
Yeah.
You know, when our brothers and sisters set it off on the French. And
sorry, Nat Turner was on 21st of August. And the Haitian Revolution was actually on the 14th of August.
Right. That's when they convened. That's when they had the meeting, the voting ceremony. And then, I guess it got into its height on the 21st. But you're correct as far as what you're saying. And I mean, it took place longer than that. But, this is like when they really, the 14th, I think, is when they kind of got together and said, look, this is what's going down, and we taking it there. So, that's at least the understanding that we had. But it is Black August. And one of the things that we wanted to do today, since Black August is about political prisoners, we have an OG, a veteran, someone that we call a comrade, who many of us have learned from. I think the first time, I heard of him during the 90s, I was up in Connecticut, heard his name mentioned, really probably going back to maybe like 89, 90. But I never, he was kind of mythical. Then I heard his voice for the first time, like many of us, on the Let's Get Free album by Dead Prez. And that is when many of us, heard, him dropping a lot of his knowledge and information. And I mean, he was just as good as a rapper as the other brothers. So, he was doing what he was doing. So we invited on today our brother who we are fighting to make sure that he doesn't become a political prisoner, Chairman Omali Yeshitela. So we're going to be bringing him on in a few seconds. But I think that before...
He's actually been in jail several times. This is also worth mentioning.
Say it again?
No, I said that he's been in jail several times. So he's been a political prisoner, in the past.
Without a doubt. And I appreciate you pointing it out.
In Florida, but he'll probably talk about it, where he was sentenced for tearing down a racist mural. So they specifically, designed a law will get to put him in prison. And that was 60 years ago, I guess. So...
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Look. It's been very constant on his line, which is quite rare for people, who's been involved in the Black Revolution in the 1960s, because, many of them in Africa and the diaspora has actually sold out. So that's why we're all the more, happy and glad to have him on the show today.
Without a doubt. Now, usually we go to our Black Power break, but since Bouna just dropped it like it was hot, we just gonna go straight.
I haven't said his name yet.
Nah, it's all good. He already here now. Chairman Omali, how you doing today, brother?
I'm well. Thank you so much. It's very good to be with you, and thank you for helping us to break out of this kind of isolation in terms of how the rulers of this country, of the whole colonial enterprise, makes it extraordinarily difficult for us to communicate. And the war of ideas is one that we've been involved in for a very long time. And we have, for the last period, been relatively unarmed. I should say even disarmed. And so that's why it's really important for us to be here with you today.
Yes, sir. Well, we're honored. We've been able to get in touch with everybody but you. I'm talking about we had a little bit of everybody on from all over the world. And we appreciate your staff, your team, and organization, because I think there was at one point it might have been some confusion, because I talked to one of the comrades and they was like, they said he was on yesterday. I said, no, he wasn't on here yesterday, unless he just logged in without us. But it's all good. we definitely
that sounds as real as these charges that the government has made against us.
Man. I'm glad we laughing at it. I want to keep on laughing because they go to extreme lengths. I remember talking to one of my OGs, original guerrillas, up in New York one time, and he was facing some charges. And he said he went to court, and on the police report, they said he was 6'2", and he was 5'6". He said these mother effers want me so damn bad, they pulled up the sidewalk to make me appear taller. You know what I mean? So we already know how they get down.
Yeah.
But yeah, for folks who aren't familiar, I gave you a rinky-dink bio, and forgive me for that. I'm self-critical for that. But I think that as Bouna pointed out, if I'm correct, I believe that you started organizing in the 60s, and the African People's Socialist Party was started in around 72. Is that correct? Or
that's right. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a SNCC organizer, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee.
Okay.
And it was in 1972. I mean, SNCC came under fire very seriously. I mean, people were imprisoned and framed up and what have you with SNCC. I mean, people were accused of SNCC organizers in Philadelphia even were accused of having dynamite that they were carrying into the office, and they knew it was dynamite there because they had some kind of secret device where they could see through the package that was being carried into it. And Leodis Johnson from SNCC in Houston, Texas, who was given 15 years in prison for a false marijuana possession charge. This was a joint that they were talking about that was not even his. So SNCC came under fire, and I was SNCC when I tore down that mural.
Where were you at as far as SNCC? I apologize for.
I was in Florida. You see, okay. I organized Florida SNCC. I organized the state of Florida for okay. Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Yeah. Right.
Okay. No, I didn't know that. Sorry, that part got.
We organized the first membership based SNCC organization in the country. SNCC was not a membership-based organization. So we organized it, and we organized it effectively as a kind of working class organization. It was not instance where students and others went into a place and organized the people, etc. We were on the ground in St. Petersburg, Florida, and we organized from the ground. So. And brought African workers into actual political life, built actual organizations based on membership, did work based on membership, and tore down that mural. When I tore down that mural in 1966, you should remember that it was SNCC who went into Lowndes County, Alabama in 1965 and organized the Lowndes County Freedom Organization that was called the Black Panther Party. That's where the name of the Black Panther Party, that's where that iconic symbol comes from, SNCC. Absolutely. And that was when we marched from our headquarters in St. Petersburg, Florida on December 29th, 1969. We marched from a SNCC Panther office with the huge Panther on the wall and outside that embraced every eye that came down this major thoroughfare in the African community in St. Petersburg, Florida. And that was on December 29th, 1966. And as you know, it was only about 4 months later that the Black Panther Party that had come into existence went into the California Assembly with a demonstration. We went to the City Hall, we snatched the mural down. They went into the State Assembly with a demonstration with guns, and they were arrested there. So, that's something about the relationship in terms of history.
Right on. I want to point out, when you talk about SNCC, I have Bayadam under the leadership of Imam Jamil Al-Amin, formerly H. Rap Brown. So when you talk about Lowndes County, In fact, that's where he was accosted or captured. But I was speaking to some comrades in Alabama because every year I host the hip hop piece for the Bloody Sunday down there. And one of the things that we were talking about was the lack of information in regards to Lowndes County. There's so much rich history in places like Alabama, and the work that SNCC did in particular. SNCC is often overshadowed, but some of the greatest organizers from in the U.S., from the Mama Marimba Inez to the H. Rap Browns, the Stokely Carmichaels, the Willie Mukasa Ricks, so many others came up.
I was glad you mentioned that because you see, the SNCC was that bridge between anti-racist civil rights movement and the anti-colonial Black Power movement. SNCC brought us from that anti-racist civil rights movement to the anti-colonial Black Power movement. At the moment, we said that the struggle was for power. That was an anti-colonial statement. The anti-racist politic was absolutely different from that. And so it was a breakthrough, and that's the trajectory that I've been on since that time.
So what got you involved?
Let me say this. Right now, we are involved in Freedom Summer here in St. Petersburg, Florida. Freedom Summer 2024, some 60 years after Freedom Summer in Mississippi. The Mississippi Freedom Summer was based on SNCC having determined that one way that we could reacquire the kind of attention that was being paid to the murder and brutality of African people in the South was with this Freedom Summer, where people were invited to come into SNCC to organize, and also especially because white people were coming in, because we knew that the media would follow those white people into Alabama and to Mississippi, and they did. And on the very first day of the Freedom Summer, this is the Freedom Summer that made most people familiar with Fannie Lou Hamer, most people outside of the movement. That very first day, 3 people turned up missing. The very first day, Schwerner, Gutman, and Cheney. And Cheney was the African, and Schwerner and Gutman were 2 white people, and they had been murdered. And this was the first day, and so it was correct. The assumption that this would drag the media in. You're talking about sometimes children of very influential white people who went in. Some of them became even better known after that. And so this was really important. And the thing also that should be recognized, that we're on one historical trajectory. It's not like history just began. And we're on one historical trajectory. In 1964, it was extraordinary. The people came in, did door-to-door work, organized on the ground, brought African people into political life who have been terrorized and bombed out of political life. This was brought back into political life through the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. That was 64. 64, the work that was done in 64 resulted in part in the passage of the Civil Rights Bill. And then in 1965, of course, then there was the Voting Rights Act that was passed. 1966, SNCC put forth a demand for Black Power. This is one progression. I think we should really understand this. There's one historical trajectory that we were on. And I should say also within this framework, SNCC became, Malcolm in particular, was an extraordinary influence for what was happening within SNCC. And also within the world, within the African world, and not just the African world, because even in Iran, when 1979, when the Iranians seized that embassy in Tehran, the one person that they said that influenced them was Malcolm X. Mm-hmm. So you had this influence of Malcolm X inside this movement. I'm talking about ideological influence, which was extraordinarily important, because if you find a movement, it must be grounded in some kind of theory, some kind of philosophy. What is that we're fighting for? To what end? Is it just to have a demonstration? Is it just to get somebody out of prison? the question is, to what end are we struggling? And Malcolm contributed to that. Garvey was the most profound contributor to that. And of course, that was what helped to influence Malcolm X. And so in 1964, the student, this Freedom Summer, 1964, the passage of the Civil Rights Bill, the one that Joe Biden, by the way, was opposed to. And 1965, passage of the Voting Rights Act. 1966, the movement toward the demand for Black power. All of this is being steamrolled by the Freedom Summer. That was the trajectory that kicked us into this process. And then, of course, 1966, 67, you began, 66, the emergence of the Black Panther Party. All of this is coming from this same historical trend. And it was a trend that's really important for us to understand, because we lump everybody and into the same trajectory. That's not true. I mean, I've seen people with signs up, bumper stickers saying something with pictures of somebody like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and then Obama. And what I'm saying is Obama was able to be Obama because they killed King and Malcolm, because there was no criticism of the fundamental system coming from African community by the time Obama was able to get there. And that's why it was so easy for white people to vote for Obama, because there was no critique being made of what was happening to African people. That's why this whole notion came to existence, that we were living in some kind of post-racial situation with the emergence of Obama. But that's obviously not the case. And so we had this amazing struggle. And young people, extraordinarily young people, and as usual, it's young people who drag everybody else into history. You know what I mean? Because young people are stuck with an obligation, independent of their will, to solve the problems of the future. Young people are stuck as a social force, a social group. They're stuck with that, just answering the question for themselves: what am I going to do? When I grow, where am I going to go to school? What kind of work am I going to have, et cetera? Young people are asking these questions. It's a social phenomenon when you look at particular groups experiencing the same kind of social circumstances, having to ask and answer those questions. That's what gives rise to philosophy and theory and action to move forward. And so we came out of that process. And like I said, 1966, by 1960, SNCC was under fierce assault from inside the so-called general civil rights movement. If SNCC was taking it someplace else deeper, and, you had people, like Jesse Jackson, who, to counter the Black Power movement, they started coming up with green power, soul power, any kind of power except Black power, which is the anti-colonial demand, because you can have green power and, some expression of that anyway, and still live under colonial domination. But you can't have Black power. You really cannot have Black power and live under colonial domination. That's the thing that SNCC brought forward, and that's what we've been involved in all this time. So we're engaged in a summer project in St. Petersburg, Florida right now, because the same issues that prevailed then prevail now. I mean, they attacked me and intend to put me in and give me a life sentence. 15-year prison sentence is probably equivalent of a life sentence for me, because I'll be 83 in October, you see. And so they intend to lock me up for 15 years in prison. But what do they accuse me of? Well, they said I was a Russian agent. And what gives me that characterization? What is it that made me a Russian agent? They said, well, one thing, I went to Moscow. I went to Moscow twice. But, I also went to Ireland. I also went to, all over Africa. I also went to Nicaragua. You name Suriname. I've been all these places. And every instance I went to these places, it was to either rebuild or win unity and solidarity with the struggle of African liberation. That's why I was there. And also to build the African Socialist International, because we concluded a long time ago that the so-called Black Revolution, or African Revolution, had outlived its capacity to solve problems within the false colonial borders that have been imposed on us. So that there's not going to be a Black American freedom. There's not going to be a Senegal freedom. There's not going to be a Black Jamaican freedom. The freedom is going to come for the whole Africa phenomenon, because all of us, every expression that I mentioned whether it's Haiti, whether it's Cuba, whether it's Senegal, whether it's the United States, comes from the same process, the same experience. I'm right now in St. Petersburg, Florida. I'm under attack now because Africa was attacked. Because Africa was attacked some 600 years ago by Portugal, that initiated this whole process of enslaving and dispersing African people all around the world. Black people in this country are the only people, other than the indigenous people themselves, who did not come to America looking for a better way of life. We came to America, we lost a better way of life. We didn't come here as some immigrants, like they would like to talk about America being a nation of immigrants. In the first place, America's not a nation. And second, it's a prison of nations. And third, we're not immigrants. We came here as captives. Sure. And so, I mean, I just think that's the kind of understanding that informed what it is that we've done up to now. That's the kind of history that informed the development of what we've characterized as an African internationalist theory. We are African internationalists. That's theory that we're talking about. The philosophy that informs us is African internationalism, and the realization that the whole world economy that we experience today, the whole world experiences, not just us, they experience it in Russia, China, every place. The world economy we characterize as coming from a colonial mode of production. There was no world economy in existence until the attack on Africa and dispersal of Black people all around the world that hooked the world into a single economy. And it's upon this reality that capitalism and all this stuff rests upon this foundation of colonialism. It's a colonial mode of production. That's why all of the white people who love us have such a problem dealing with our reality, because everything that they have achieved and everything that they enjoy, every dream, aspiration that they have for their children rests upon the foundation of colonial domination of Africans and other peoples around the world. So they're going to have to break with that in order to move forward. They're going to have to unite under the leadership of Africans, and the oppressed peoples around the world. So we got this Freedom Summit happening, and we are calling on people from everywhere. We are, in fact, engaged right now in Freedom Summit. There are some things that we have to do. We have to, on August 31st, we want everybody to be here on August 31st. And some people, we've got commitments from a lot of people already. This is going to be the mass mobilization that we have in St. Petersburg, Florida, which is right across the bridge from Tampa, Florida, where the federal trial is going to be had. But it's also the city that they attacked our Ojore house, and they attacked the house I'm sitting in right now, though it was empty, speaking to you. So we're having people come on the 31st, and all kinds of people. I mean, I think that Colonial West will be represented here. Jill Stein will be represented here. Charles Barron will be represented here. William Acosta Ricks will be here. Afia Mungaza, another Snake Force historical figure, will be here. I mean, people from everywhere coming into St. Petersburg, Florida, where we have a massive program, demonstration, rally preceding the trial that's scheduled for September 3rd in Tampa, Florida. So August 31st is important. September 3rd is important, but every day now we've got people as we one of the things I was charged with, the crime I was charged with, is voting. We ran candidates in 2017 and 2019 for city council. Akile Anai for city council. I think she was 20 at the time. We ran a white guy, Jesse Neville, for mayor under the slogan, unity through reparations. The first time in history the reparations demand was put on the ballot was in St. Petersburg, Florida, 2017, 2019. For the first time, and perhaps the only time, Barack Hussein Obama intervened in a local election and came out and supported our opponent who was running for mayor and city councilor in this city. So we ran somebody for office, and they say the Russians paid for that. And it seems to me that the whole assault they come is an attack on the Voting Rights Act that I participated in organizing Black people throughout the state of Florida, in particular, to register and vote. I'm partially responsible for the existence of a Voting Rights Act, and now I am being charged. We are being charged for being Russian agents for dealing with voting. So they said you can vote, but you can't vote unless you vote the way we want you to vote. And the fact is, I think everybody should remember, I talk about 1965 and the Voting Rights Act. Well, what else happened in 1965? 1965, that was the year they killed Malcolm.
Absolutely.
1968, they killed King. 1966, the Black Power movement happens. And so even though they say you can vote, what they had done is they do all this stuff to kill and arrest people and terrorize Black people, so you ain't got nothing to vote for or nobody to vote for once you have access to the Voting Rights Act. So the only thing you got now is Biden's organization, or as it was at the time, George Wallace's organization, the Democratic Party. And so we do not have access to our own politics, to our own determination of what our future should look like. They're going to control that. And that's what they're doing with this attack that they're making on us. That's another thing that gives relevance to the whole thing about Freedom Summer. Come to St. Petersburg, Florida. We working day to day. We got people knocking on doors. We got people passing out literature. We got people standing on corners with banners, trying to provide political education. Then we have every Sunday community rally. So we're trying to bring everybody who can participate in this process to do that. And we want to expose that it's not we who should be on trial, but it's the state that said they believed in things like democracy and free speech, et cetera, that's on trial. And I just think that's really important. Anyway, I know I talked a lot.
Nah, you laid it out properly, and I'm gonna turn it over to the comrades. But I want to say to you that you have, like I said off the camera, the support for what you all are doing, the endeavor it's a unanimous support. I'm talking about everybody from comrades, from Jericho to all types of other formations. Like I said, Leonard Peltier's team, so on and so forth. Move. Everybody's talking about the first week of September. You know what I'm saying? So we intend on being there. Several people from Black Power Media, so on and so forth. But if you don't mind, and I'm going to turn it over to the comrades, but I think that sometimes, you know, and you alluded to the charges and everything, but there was a raid. There was a number of different things that took place when you talk about timeline. There are some folks who may not have heard about what went on. So if you don't mind just kind of laying that out, and I'm going to pass it to the comrades from there.
Thank you. I just want to say the first time that we had evidence of what the federal government was doing in this latest iteration, because they've been messing with us since the 1960s, was that at 5 o'clock in the morning, pre-dawn, where I was located in St. Louis, which would have been 6 o'clock in the morning here in St. Petersburg, Florida. My wife and I were sitting up at the dining room table, planning out the day. I was preparing to go to the gym, and she was preparing to preside over the beginning of a doula program that we initiated in St. Louis. Because in St. Louis, it's typical, but in St. Louis, there's a situation where enough Black babies die in the first year of life to fill 15 kindergarten classes. So we are initiating a doula program for a safe birth for children and for babies and for parents. And so they attacked us. We're sitting there, and out of the dark, this racket comes, and it startles us at first. So we're not sure what we're hearing. And then it becomes clear they're saying everyone in this house, in this address where we are in St. Louis, and one of the most impoverished sectors of the city, everybody in this house, this is the FBI, come out with your hands up and your hands empty. And then as this sound happens, then explosions start to go off throughout the neighborhood. Flashbang grenades, they call them, concussion grenades, they're unleashing. And I asked my wife, who is the one who presides over the doula program and more than 50 other economic institutions that we have throughout this country. I asked her to wait until I went down and to get on the phone and let people know we were under attack. And she tried, but what happened was I was to learn that our phones had been jammed, so she couldn't communicate with anybody. So when I get downstairs and open the door, I'm facing an armored vehicle, an armored personnel carrier in front of my house. And these military forces with flak jackets and camouflage and assault weapons with laser targeting devices, and these red dots are hitting me on the chest when I walk out. And I thought they were going to kill me like they had done Fred Hampton in a similar situation in Chicago in 1969. I literally thought, okay, they want to kill me here. And I was really concerned about my wife. And then she comes downstairs and she's almost hit in the face by a drone, that they sent a drone upstairs. And so when I get downstairs, they zip tie me behind my back, and my wife comes down, they put handcuffs on her behind the back. And I'm asking, what is this about? Why are you doing this? And finally they said, because there's going to be an indictment dropped in Tampa, Florida later this morning. It's going to be big news. And there's a Russian national who is going to be indicted. And your name came up in the indictment. And I said, let me see the indictment. And I couldn't see that. And then they said, this is a search warrant that we have. So let me see the search warrant. And they said, well, I don't have it, but it's somewhere around here. So they took cell phones, they took laptops, they went upstairs in our house. They took cell phones, laptops, iPads, any kinds of communication device. I leave there, and I finally asked them, I said, can we leave? And so after they wanted us to sit on the curb, you've seen this picture. You've seen this picture of young Africans that they put in this humiliating situation where you sit on the curb. It's just the kind of dehumanizing things they do to Black people and other colonized people in this country. So I don't want to sit on the curb, man. And well, you can sit in the back seat of the car. We don't want to sit in the back seat of the car. I want to leave. Can we leave? And say, yeah, okay, you can leave. So then they got to cut this zip ties off, and they have a difficult time cutting the zip ties off behind my back. They take the handcuffs off my wife. We leave, and we have another center on the south side of St. Louis, which is where the majority of the white people live. And so we go to the south side where that center is, and we see they've got the FBI armored vehicles. They've got that place surrounded also. They've gone into that place. They've knocked doors down. They use special battering rams and things like that. They use the concussion grenades. They go upstairs where two forces in our solidarity movement were living in their apartment, and they held them at gunpoint on the arm. And then in another section of South St. Louis, where Penny Hess, who is a leader of the solidarity movement, she and her housemate, they were held at gunpoint, and they held those people, and they held our institution for something like 6 to 8 hours, searching, going through, taking all kinds of materials. They then go at the same time, they're in St. Petersburg, Florida, and they attack. They go to the house. They call on the phone to Akilia Nai and tell her to come out, that somebody's breaking into her car. This is the St. Petersburg Police Department. She goes outside to check on her car, and then FBI agents come from everywhere. And so they vamp on her, take her phone. It was just a whole terroristic kind of enterprise, because even if they believed what they said was true, even there was no charge, no assumption that we were armed, that we had guns, that we had drugs, that we were, some kind of sex, traffickers, something to that effect. There was none of that. That was even assumed about it. I mean, I was 82 years old. I was 80 at the time, and they attacked. I think thought Rambo was going to come out of the house or something like that. And this is all they thought Field Marshal George, maybe they thought was going to come out of the house, but none of that was the case. They did not expect that. They did not assume that it was a terroristic act. They locked down the whole community. They locked the entire community down. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so in St. Petersburg, Florida, when I get back, I'm talking to people, and they're saying that they had to show their ID to leave their houses and to come back to their houses. So this is what that looked like on July 29th, 2022. So it was a very vicious time. And if they knocked on the door, if they believed, knock on the door. Or if there was stuff they wanted, all they got to do is go to blackpower96.org. They can see our radio station, which they took off the air. They went and invaded our archives. We got more than 40, 50 years of archival stuff at the Ojore House in St. Petersburg, Florida. I don't know what all they took from there. They stole financial records. This is the kind of thing and they can go to the Burning Spear, because everything that we believe in, you can see in the Burning Spear. You can find it on our social media, accounts and things like that. But that's not what it was about. It was about terrorizing us, about terrorizing the community. And so they did that, and they didn't arrest anybody. Nobody was arrested. They went 9 months before they even indicted. And because the assumption was that we would come in and plea bargain and come up with a plea that says that we did this, we agreed to say that we did this if you just don't do something terrible to us. And but that would have required perjury, even according to their law, because we didn't do it. We didn't do what they said that we did. But as our lawyer said, even if we had done it, that it was protected by the Constitution, by the First Amendment. So this is what we ran into. That's why Freedom Summit is so relevant even today, because the struggle to vote. We ran candidates in 2017, 2019, state of St. Petersburg, Florida. We put stuff back on the ballot that would have gone on the ballot if Malcolm had been alive. Would have gone on the ballot if King had been alive, because if you remember, the last initiative that he had kicked off was Poor People's Campaign. And that was designed to stop traffic throughout the federal government from functioning unless they dealt with some of the issues that were affecting Africans and poor people in this country. And but they don't want people to participate in the election. They always say, well, Black people don't vote, except they don't want us to vote, because they wanted us to vote. They wouldn't be killing people who was trying to put something on the ballot that benefits us. The only thing we can put on the ballot is something that Joe Biden wants on the ballot. Can you imagine that? Or Kamala Harris wants on the ballot, and what she wants on the ballot is anything white power wants on the ballot. That's what she wants on the ballot. So that's the thing that we're stuck with, and we're defying that. So we're saying, come into St. Petersburg, Florida, go to work. Everybody who wax nostalgic about what happened in the 60s and Mississippi and what have you. Mississippi is everywhere we are. And right here in St. Petersburg, Florida, right now is Mississippi Summer Project again. Come in, get your hands dirty, get sweaty, walk these streets, talk to our people, get out from behind the computer as the only means to which we link with our people, right? Sitting in front of a computer, talking about how many friends you got. You don't have a damn friend. This whole thing is artificial. This whole notion of cyberspace is phony. Come out and meet real people who got real struggles and what have you they're trying to resolve, and that's the way we do it. Anyway, so the summer project, the Freedom Summer, is something that we are continuing, and we intend to do more this time around than what came out from Mississippi in 1964. Because even as it stands now, people you mentioned some of it, Comrade Kalonji, that there are all kinds of groups and organizations who are in solidarity, all kinds of nationalities, the Mexicans, the Palestinians, all these people are part of this movement, this process. And we're right now developing what we like to characterize and believe is like a human rights a kind of organization that will bring as many people as possible around anti-colonial, I should say, human rights organization, so that we can collectively make this assault against colonialism that dominates all of us. And the problem, of course, is that the colonizer cannot tolerate freedom. You cannot imagine free speech for a slave. That's an absurdity of free speech for colonized people. You don't have free speech. Even when the First Amendment was ratified by the United States Congress. That was in 1791. What were Black people in this country doing in 1791? It damn sure wasn't for us. It was for colonizers themselves in the process of creating a world of freedom from the feudalism and from the situation that they had come out from monarchy in England and other places like that, where there was divine right of king. That was the only rights people had. So they said, free speech. We have free speech. We have freedom of assembly. We have freedom from unreasonable search and seizure. We have all of these freedoms they said you have, but that was for them. And what it turns out was the freedom to oppress. is what they develop. And so we're saying, we're not asking them. I mean, I'm not asking them. I'm not trying to be in the court saying that you should believe in Black power, our right for Black power. I'm not asking the judge. I'm not asking the jury to believe in our right for Black power or anything like that. I'm saying, believe in your principles. You said the First Amendment was real. You said that the Bill of Rights were real. And the only thing we've done is exercise the rights that you say you believe in and that you wrote down as basic to the kind of civilization that you characterize yourselves having created. So that's our struggle. Freedom Summer.
Brothers, y'all want to open up?
Yeah, I actually had a question. Well, first of all,
can I just say Uhuru to the chairman? I know I'm late to the party, but Uhuru chairman. Hey, I'll see you soon. I'll be down there. Yeah. Right on. Go ahead, Bouna. I'm sorry.
We're gonna get a reinstated, chairman. He been slacking. We know that's not under your leadership. We're gonna make sure, you know. He been talking about you, but I don't know, chairman. Anyway, go ahead, Bouna.
Hey, chairman. You know, Kalonji, he came at me, said, you know, you don't know organizing until you organize in the South. So, you know, I'm trying to get my stripes.
Right on. Right on. I'm sorry, comment, Bouna.
Yeah, no worries. So first of all, I'd like to thank Chairman Omali Yeshitela for coming on, because we've tried, as Kalonji said, I don't know if it was when we already started or before that, we've been trying to have Chairman Omali Yeshitela for a long time. So we are very glad to have him here today. And I'm all the more grateful to him because, you know, he's been one of my sources of inspiration in the struggle that I've been carrying out here in France. Unfortunately, I won't be available. I mean, I won't be, you know, able to go to the Freedom Summer in the US, but, you know, I'll try to support you as much as possible. One of the reasons why I like the chairman's, you know, way of explaining and making the struggle understandable by anyone is because he has some of the skills that many of the so-called leaders don't have, right? You know, one of the first videos of the chairman that I saw was a few years ago when he was actually talking about Obama, okay? I think the title of the video was Obama, White Power in Blackface. Okay, this is a video that people can watch on the YouTube channel of the Burning Spear. I think it was released even before Obama was elected.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I really encourage people to go on the YouTube channel of the Burning Spear. Also, the website of handsofuhuru.org, where you can find all relevant information, not only on the trial that is set on the 3rd or 9th of September. Sorry, I can't recall the date. But anyways, you'll have all the relevant information on the handsofuhuru.org website, including in terms of, you know, how people can support. Okay, because I think this is the second round of fundraising that the organization has set up. So I think the first round they raised more than $277,000, okay, which is a huge accomplishment. And I think now they seem to raise $100,000, and they've already raised 65% of the amount. So please, to our viewers, visit handsofuhuru.org and please donate, support. We've also been trying to support, you know, from far away, because I'm based in France, but we actually organized a rally in solidarity with the Ojore movement, which was attended by hundreds of, you know, Africans in Paris. That was back in July. So yeah, let's do as much as we can to support the Ojore movement, because they're not fighting only for themselves. They're not fighting only for Black Americans. They're fighting for all Africans. Okay, because this is the new wave of attacks on Black freedom, okay, which is reminiscent of what they did in the 1960s, okay, because they're charging Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Penny Hess, and Jesse Neville of, you know, collusion with Russia, the same charges that they used against Paul Robeson in the 1950s, Alphonse Hunton, W.E.B. Du Bois, Shirley Graham Du Bois, all these people that I mentioned, they also got their passport confiscated by the U.S. government back then, which is the same strategy, the same tools that they're using against Chairman Omali Yeshitela. Which brings me to my question. So, Chairman, do you think that the African community in the U.S. has grasped the significance of the charges that the government is leveling against you? Because from here, I have the impression that people have still not realized that we're a new wave of black people in the US and Africans in the US are in a new wave of so-called black scare, red scare, okay, the same type of campaign that they've, organized in 1960s, and the impact for the black people in the US can be extremely devastating. So I was wondering if you have the impression that black people living in the US, whether they're organized or not, have grasped the significance of the charges that are leveled against you.
And my answer is no. In general, they have not. And that's one of the reasons they continue to attack us, because they don't want what it is that we stand for and believe in to re-achieve traction again. That spent so much time killing Malcolm and Panthers and everything, that they know that this is the fundamental question, the colonial question. And as you said, this is not just a question of Africans in this country. We are organized throughout South Africa in the townships. So we are organized in Namibia. We are, in Sierra Leone, and some of the same place Garvey was, and Ghana, and just various places throughout Africa, as well as in France and also England. We have been with varying degrees of success in Sweden, in Belgium, in Germany, various other places organized, because it's one Africa, one nation. That's our view. There's no separate African persons and groups, etc. When they attacked Africa and dispersed Africans to these various places, they also dispersed Africa. And Africans are everywhere and just lack consciousness often of our connection. A false national consciousness has been imposed on us. You've probably heard me say it before, like you look at, a situation like Cameroon, the Portuguese named that place because they found a lot of shrimp there. And Cameroon stems from the Portuguese word for shrimp. And so you got black people running around calling themselves shrimp, but we're not shrimp. And, you look at nigger area and you look at so-called African American and Black American, none of those things. And the thing that bothers our oppressors so much is the fact that we bring in political education and theory, philosophy to masses of ordinary black people, not the know-it-all sectors of our but just ordinary people working in these townships that you will find us in. You won't see us on CNN and things like that. We're in the townships there where most of the oppression, exploitation is concentrated. So we're in these places. So no, I don't think the majority of African people yet, but I think that what's happening now is that more and more people are coming to the good conclusions. And I think that what the government has done with this attack on us is all of the people who knew nothing about us. Now they've blown us up. And so that the world now sees the African People's Socialist Party Uhuru movement. Just think about that. I mean, you have a situation where the government is running around crushing Uhuru. And that's why we say hands off Uhuru, hands off Africa. What is Uhuru? Freedom. And so you got the government consciously engaged in attacking freedom. And I think that part of what's really important in terms of recognizing the significance of this movement, Freedom Summer, and what's happening inside the United States is because the United States is the anchor to the entire colonial mode of production. And that the profound crisis exists in the whole world. And much of that is concentrated here in the United States. You can see it. You can see the whole social fabric of this country just rending, where you got white people climbing the walls of the Capitol and chasing the vice president down the halls, threatening to hang him. You've got white people who actively engaged in some of the most, vicious kinds of attacks on rights and among white people themselves. So, and then I think it's really important to notice that the first time in the 246-year history of the Marine Corps, they gave an African a 4-star, and they put that African in charge of what? AFRICOM, controlling black people on the continent of Africa and protecting their presumed right to control those resources from Russia and China, etc. For the first time, and you not the first time, but you also have a general who's tied to the arms industry, who they put over the Department of Defense.
Yeah.
And for the first time in history, they made an Air Force general. They put him in charge. He's the chair of the Joint Chief of Staffs. So the whole military apparatus of the United States right now, at this very moment, as we're having this discussion, has a black face.
Yep.
And that black face is to obscure white power and to be able, and that's what Obama was about. And that's what the bobblehead Kamala Harris, who just lost her position standing behind Biden, doing funny things with her head like that. But the thing is that, this whole black face, this is the critical question. Africa is fundamental to the continuum of operation of the modern economy. Without Africa, they have nothing. That's where, parts of the lithium, we got cobalt, coltan, diamonds, gold. I mean, cocoa. I mean, there are no cocoa bean trees in Hershey, Pennsylvania. You don't even find tea trees here, etc. There are no coffee. I mean, it's happening all over Africa. That's the central force. And we have to come to terms with that. We can't come to terms with it, though, as Senegalese, as Ghanaians, as Sudanese, etc., as a people. It's ours. Africa is the birthright of every African person on the planet Earth. And all of us need to be organized and conscious of the responsibility to take it back for our ability to live. Our children need to have a future, and that's on us. So anyway, I know I overtalked it, Bouna.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
I'm laughing, Chairman Omali. You colder than the white man. He says you bobbling the head like.
No, I was doing that when he mentioned Kamala Harris. And the funny thing about the general that he was talking about, his name is Langley, right?
Yeah.
Which is also the name of the headquarters of the CIA.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
You can't make it up.
No,
these
yeah. It's like
I think our brother.
Yeah, go ahead. Come on.
I think our brother Ikemba may have something to say since he's reinstating his Uhuru card. So we want to make sure that
y'all been talking. Oh Lord, Chairman, y'all ain't been talking about me.
Good. I'm glad to hear his brothers over there.
I'm glad too, brother. We gonna bring him to show.
Hey, I'm in a couple of weeks, we'll be down there in NCP in Tampa. And want to just encourage everyone too. And I know you had emphasized it, Chairman. I think it's important. Everyone that's viewing this, come down, but also spread the word. We all have networks, so make sure that you talk to your network, talk to your peoples, make it down there. I'm going down there. I'm not just talking and not walking. So I'll be down there, and in New York. I was in New York over the weekend, and everyone is talking about the Uhuru 3. There was a D12 event. It was brought up. They're encouraging people to get down to Florida. So, I think it's very important to that Africans understand. Dr. King said it. I think oppression anywhere is a threat to liberty. Maybe not in that way, but a threat to freedom everywhere. And so what we're seeing happen, say that again.
No, you're right. I'm sorry. I think it's a threat to justice anywhere is a threat to justice.
Oh, justice. Yeah. Absolutely. And I just wanted to raise that. And you brought out so many great points, which is going to bring me to a question. You talked about this struggle that white people had with other white people when it comes to rights and liberty, just this history in this country that goes all the way back to England, that Black people, when it came to African people, we weren't included in their struggle for their liberty and freedom. In fact, if you go to the Dred Scott decision, the majority opinion said that, this country never intended for African people to be citizens. Abraham Lincoln himself said that he didn't intend for Africans to be jurors or lawyers and so forth. So, we were always supposed to be, according to white people in their literature, the underclass in this country. So my question that brings me to this contradiction with Africans still wanting to be a part of the colonial capitalist design, still wanting to identify with the colonizer, with the slave master. So can you speak to that contradiction of Africans wanting to, because it kind of like brings us to also the importance of the theory of African internationalism, sort of like speaking the importance of us identifying as Africans.
Yeah, I just think that what we really, part of that speaks to our responsibility, Comrade Ikemba, because every society produces what might be characterized as advanced sector. And there's no easy explanation for why some forces step forward to try to move beyond the constraints that seems to exist inside society. And you find that the people who join the PTA, the people who do this other kind of step forward, this is every society. And the social contradiction, and I think it's really important for us to understand that Africans suffer from a social contradiction, not a personal contradiction, not an individual contradiction. But what happens is that often there is an ongoing attempt to obscure the social contradiction and have us to focus just on the individual problem. I can't get a job, or I have this problem, and black man is the one who did something to me, not the white man. And that's like your mama beat your butt. I mean, she's the one who did it to you, so it doesn't. I mean, she's closest to you. She looks out for you, and sometimes she might be wrong, but that's the kind of relationship we have. So there's a social contradiction that abounds. And what we have done is really struggle very hard to identify the advanced sectors in our communities and to build organization and philosophy around that, and assume for ourselves the responsibility to take back the responsibility of educating our people. And I don't mean, we do some work, as you know, in university. I mean, I spoke at Oxford, which is, the major intellectual, entity in the white world. But I'm talking about in these communities where our people live, because it's not going to be Oxford professors who lead this goddamn struggle. It's going to be people in these communities, people where they have the police all the time, people, where we live under constant kind of oppression. And some of this oppression comes, from institutions that the ruling class will permit, in fact, promote, like churches and all that. We have to be there. We have to take the responsibility of organizing in these communities, organizing the people. That's where the power is. They know that's where the power is. And we just have to recognize that takes us back to the whole question of Freedom Summer. That's where you see changes coming from. Changes didn't come in Mississippi or throughout this country because some big shots got together. It was that organizers went to the most oppressed sector of the population and brought them into political life, brought them into an awareness of themselves, and helped to provide the political education and organizational structures and the philosophy that drove this engine. I remember, Fernando was a critical force in Mississippi Freedom Summer. And part of the Mississippi Freedom Summer had to do with challenging the legitimacy of the Mississippi Democratic Party in the 1964 National Convention of the Democratic Party, to seat the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, Black people, as opposed to who believed and upheld the law and allowed everybody to participate, as opposed to the lynch mob white Democratic Party. And of course, they double crossed us. But Fernando Hamer, she said, I fought to get into the Democratic Convention in 1964. She said, I fought to get in there. She said, then she got there. She said, I had to fight to get out of it in 1968. It's 1968. I'm fighting to get out of it. And of course, Democratic, Vietnam, all this other kind of stuff, and just the horrible treatment of African people never went away. And so, but they misdirect our people and say there's no alternative. There's no alternative except the Democrats or the Republicans. And the Democrats don't have to promise and never do promise, have not promised Black people anything except that they won't be Trump. I won't be a Republican. That's the only thing. They don't have anything in their program for Black people. And so that's our job. So even Achille and Nai, you know, who they claim that we, the Russians paid for her to run for office, you know, she's running for office. The election is today. I don't know. I mean, we didn't have time to campaign, didn't raise any money and stuff like that. But the big thing was to put it back out there. I mean, we didn't slink away in the dark or something like that. That campaign, she was running for city council today, running on the question of reparations to African people, running on the question of free speech for African people. Like right now in St. Petersburg, Florida, the election, I voted earlier today. So the point is, no, we have to educate. And we do that often by action, by what we do. And so the fact is they attack us. One of the things objectives attacking us, again, like I said this too, for us to come in and make some kind of deal that they won't mess with us they won't mess with us as seriously if we confess to something that we didn't do. Or 9 months later, they wait 9 months for an indictment after the attack, or to run, or to do something that would justify an attack, like the free speech stuff doesn't justify an attack, but to do something else that would justify an attack. And we did none of those things. You know why? Because Black people are the people, nobody in this country, nobody in America fought harder for democracy than Black people. Anything that's called democracy in the United States was something that was forged by Black people. And the question of universal suffrage, Black people did that. Voting rights, Black people did that. Civil rights, Black people did that. We are the ones. And so I'm not sacrificing that democratic space that we bled for. And this is not some moral thing on my part, is that this is the space that we fought for, so that, you know, Huey P. Newton was absolutely correct. And he says that the revolutionary doesn't voluntarily go underground. This is democratic space we fought for. And the country, the rulers in the white population of this country has to come face to face with this contradiction. I'm not asking them to be Panthers. I'm not asking them to be Uhuruist or anything like that. That's up to you. But what I am saying is that you say you believe in democracy, you believe in the First Amendment, you believe in the Bill of Rights, et cetera, in the Constitution. That's what I'm holding you to. And that's what you need to hold this government to. So you don't have to believe what I believe. In fact, according to principles we learned when we were in school, it is unpopular speech that is most deserving of protection by the Constitution. Because if you just say stuff that everybody agrees with, then there's no need for anything that protects free speech. So I know, Ikemba, I hope I spoke to it, comrade, what you said. But we have a lot of work to do. That's what Freedom Summit is a part of that project. That's what the Burning Spear newspaper, part of that project. That's part of what it is that we do. And that's the kind of stuff that you've been doing. The stuff you've been doing, even like here, but otherwise, it's part of our responsibility to provide this education. And it's also necessary for us to understand that what happened with the attack on the Black Revolution of the 1960s, they didn't just kill some individuals. When they killed Lumumba, they weren't just killing an individual. When they got rid of Nkrumah, they weren't just killing an individual, Malcolm. What they did was destroy those forces who advocated a certain politic for the liberation of African people. That's the thing that allowed this other stuff to ascend. That's the thing that allowed Kamala Harris to look like she has some semblance of significance to Black people, or Barack Hussein Obama, because they killed Malcolm, because they killed Lumumba, because they murdered King and other forces who overthrew Nkrumah, because they killed after they wounded Che Guevara in 1967. After they wounded him, they murdered him too. Nobody should have the right to speak about the liberation of our people, because that challenges not just the status quo as some kind of abstract concept, but the foundation of this whole social system is colonialism, the colonial mode of production. And I'm hoping, if nothing else comes out of this discussion, that people hear me when I'm talking about a colonialism as a mode of production, not just as a policy that might come from a particular, it might have been a policy when it started with Portugal. It might be a policy as it kicked off by Israel in terms of what it's doing to the Palestinian people, but it's a mode of production. So all activity revolving around the production of life, reproduction of life. All economic activity occurs within this context of a particular mode of production. Used to be, when we were relatively naive, we call that a capitalist mode of production. That's what Marx referred to it as. That's what Marx also did some stuff when he talked about where does capitalism come from. Remember that? He said, where does it come from? He said, in order to understand this, he says that in order for there to be a capitalist mode of production, there has to be a capitalist accumulation. He said, but so it looks like there's a vicious circle that we have to get out. Where does the capitalist accumulation come? He said, we have to presuppose that capitalist production, that capitalist accumulation happened was a precondition for capitalist accumulation, for capitalist production. But the starting point was turning Africa into a warren for the commercial hunting of black skins. It was interring the indigenous people into this country, into the mines, bringing up gold and silver. It was what was happening at the East India, as it was characterized, talking about India and that part of the world, turning them and stealing the resources and killing people there. This was the starting point. What he's just identified is a mode of production that preceded and was the foundation for capitalism. So this is what we have a responsibility to understand. Otherwise, you can't get into history. You cannot get into history as long as we see ourselves as simply some object whose entry into history was to facilitate the development of white power or Europe or capitalism or something like that.
No doubt. Listen, Chairman, we know that you are pressed for time. We want to respect your time. Our good brother Bouna, he has some quotes that he wanted to read from you, if that's all right, before we wrap up.
Yes.
And we can take it from there.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out how I can share them on my screen.
I saw something a moment ago.
Yeah.
It was up on the screen. It was
on the screen.
It was, yes.
It was, yeah.
Okay, let me try again then.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one is Chairman said in his speech, was titled If Jesus was a revolutionary, why is your preacher such an Uncle Tom? Okay, so this is a quote about the necessity of organization. Okay, building up strong organization. So here the chairman said Jesus had a program, he had an organization, he pulled together into his organization 12 key people, each of whom had unique skills and talents. He sent them out as organizers. If you want to know how to organize, you should read the Bible. It tells you how to organize, who to see, and when you get there, what to do. Okay? And the second quote is about, just like he mentioned, the necessity of connecting our struggle, okay, with the struggles that are going on the continent, okay? As people, people living in the diaspora, we should always identify with the struggles of our brothers and sisters in Africa. So here the German said, for the longest period in North America, the struggle of African people has been a struggle essentially for rights under colonial domination, rights within the colonial system. Sometimes this has represented itself as some kind of revolutionary struggle. Yet, it made an assumption of a privileged fate for African people within the United States that was separate from and at the expense of African people in Africa and throughout the world. Okay, so this is part of the speech, Liberate Africa and Her Children. And all these speeches, you can find them in the Chairman Omali Yeshitela's book that is titled Omali Yeshitela Speaks. Okay, people can find on the website of the Burning Spear. We also translated these quotes in others, around 15 in French. So they're also available on the La Question Noire podcast, which is in French. And thank you. And what just, when the chairman was talking about Obama, I was expecting him to refer to him as Barack Insane Obama, as he used to do, right?
Barack Insane Obama. See, I wish I could. I think that's really a bad thing to say about crazy people. I wish we could attribute what he does to insanity, but it's a politic and it's an interest that he is united with as an opposition to African people. A lot of people do that stuff, but yeah.
Hey,
so,
Chairman.
Yes.
No. So definitely we appreciate you, coming to bless us today. We will be supporting your liberation, your freedom, along with your comrades. Neville and
Yes.
Penny Hess. Yes, we definitely looking forward. Just know that you have a space here. Whenever you all want to drop any information, we will be broadcasting live. We're setting it up as well from St. Pete and Tampa when we get there. So definitely, we appreciate that, and we fighting. And,
Right
and mentioning that you're 83. I mean, of course, you look younger than Ikemba. However,
I don't know why y'all messing with Ikemba, man.
we try to get him on the right side of the barricades, Chairman. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we ain't seen him. We put in the chat, Chairman Omali gonna be. He pop up. I'm like, this is what we need to do. I said this thing.
Man,
I was surprised, Chairman. Now, see, I had already talked to him because he was talking about he's going to be putting on a muscle shirt. I said, don't do it, because if you do, we're going to shut you down. You know what I'm saying? But he trying to be like you when you ain't around. So now I ain't trying to come back like everything good. But anyway,
Chairman, don't go for it, Chairman.
You already know. You know, Chairman. You know what we're talking about. Listen, we appreciate you again, like I said, and we're gonna stay ready for revolution. Again, when you said you was 83, I thought about our brother Leonard Peltier, who was just hit with a 15-year extension in regards to his parole situation, his parole hearing. So indeed is an attempted assassination. That's what they're doing with Mumia. That's what they're doing with Leonard. That's what they're doing with Imam Jamil Alameen, formerly H. Rap Brown, Joy Powell, and so many others. So we say we appreciate your work, and we're gonna win in spite of what they think is gonna happen.
We are winning. That's why they're moving against us, because we are. Yes.
Without a doubt. Stay on point. We'll see you soon, Chairman.
Thank you so much, brothers. It's so good to talk to you.
Uhuru.
Yes. That was Chairman Omali Yeshitela. We happy to have had him on. Hopefully we'll have Ikemba on more regular now that he's been seen with the chairman. Bouna was trying to get his credit in. I don't know if y'all heard Bouna. He sounded like the chairman paid him. I don't know. He was like, and furthermore, Chairman, when you was 8, he knew the whole history. Anyway,
hey, you see, I usually don't have a dashiki on. I said I gotta come.
I know. And Chairman's still in the background, so he hear you, so he already know. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely have him back when he has time, obviously, because
absolutely. Perhaps we'll invite his. I'm not going to say his co-defendants. I'll say his comrades, because indeed their work is equally felt. We're seeing all the broadcasts. We're seeing what's going on. We appreciate the work that the Uhuru movement is doing around the world. I met some comrades from Sweden, I believe, that came and checked me out maybe like 10, 15 years ago when they was in Atlanta. And it's always good to just see the impact. And for the record, because we got to remind folks sometimes, you don't have to be on the same page, but you damn sure got to be in the same book. This is about African liberation. This is about smashing imperialism, Zionism, and all these other isms. And regardless of who you say you down with or what you, just know that as long as you're on the right side of the barricades, then you need to be in Florida the first week of September, because that's where the fight started. All right. So anyway, we're gonna go to a quick break, quick Black Power break.
Real quick, and Louisi's going to be on tomorrow, right? Is that correct?
Okay. Hasn't confirmed yet. He'll probably be next week.
Okay. Yeah. See, you should have told him, because he came over and showed up twice.
I'll see y'all next week.
Yeah, I bet. I want to remind folks also.
What did I say? Sorry, did I say that he wouldn't be on tomorrow? He's coming tomorrow.
Yeah. See, that's how you do it. See, Bouna learning now. Also, stay tuned, because today at noon, Professor Griff has joined the Black Power Media Reloaded family. So he will be hosting this show that will take place every Wednesday right here on Black Power Media at 12 noon. So, you know what I'm saying? So on your lunch break, you can, so you went from Chairman Omali today to Professor Griff. I don't know, boy. Ikemba might stay tuned for a little bit more often, boy. I don't know, boy. You might stick around, Ikemba. But anyway, we'll be right back.
I got some work to do.
You got a whole lot of work to do. Anyway, we're going to take this quick Black Power break. We're going to go to some of my folks, speaking of Florida, some of my comrades who put out a video a few years ago. They called Vintage Tux. Vintage Tux is out of Tallahassee. Matter of fact, if you look close, you'll see a cameo by someone you love. Stay tuned. Black Power Media in the building. Rise Up Morning Show.
Fred Douglas fro. Motherfuckers with the muscles, no strength is in the digits. Quit spitting on the bungalow. The devil got a buzz stronger than a bumble nose. Lions and impalas and they creeping through the jungle slow. Warthog, pull him over for the tail light. Heart beating fast and he begging to the jail Christ. You know the one that brothers find in the slammer. Gotta do the running man if they ever find a hammer. Check the grammar. Kelsey ain't Frazier, sitting on the couch with his wrist near a razor. The hood could be good if we loved our neighbor, but the world is so full, no gas in the pacer. Indiana in the temple of doom, no the slum ain't plum, it resembles a broom. Crime on the regular, look at the coons, is what they do from the treetop, silver for the spoon. No regrets, bro, we do it for the don't flex, bro, we do it for the no rest, bro, we do it for the no need to guess, bro, we do it for the no regrets, bro, we do it for the don't flex, bro, we do it for the no rest, bro, we do it for the no need to guess, bro, we do it for the
Formerly on my Malcolm Little, but grow up into my Malcolm Unknown. AP like Malcolm Middle, but figure how sun grown is more corner stores, corner pockets and blunt rolls. Get the rolling trips and you know the grip like run nose. Live from where they designated for us to be at, with designated drivers to stay behind on a G-Pack. Toss money with lost money, inspire feedback, and the light come with it, baby. You see that? See that? Be that like nobody ever was. They told us to get it forever on these forever bronze. Said to never be done. The height of ambition is what you leak from, and suck all that away when you get it. Know who to keep from. I'm riding in Tommy Smith, John Carlos, but my jeans are still fit from John Favardos, and I still do mean biz as far as bars go, and my roof is still nowhere near where my car go. For real.
No regrets, bro, we do it for the don't flex, bro, we do it for the no rest, bro, we do it for the no need to guess, bro, we do it for the no regrets, bro, we do it for the don't flex, bro, we do it for the no rest, bro, we do it for the no need to guess, bro, we do it for the
I'm not the pig, you got to make a distinction. The people are going to have to stand up against the pig. That's what the pastors are doing. That's what the pastors are doing all over the world.
What's happening, good people? This is Rise Up Morning Show, your international morning show. That was Vintage Tux alongside Sky Zoo. You know what I mean? Because that's what we do. You know, when we do, we don't always play music, but when we do, we want to make sure that we give you the strong, independent music from our comrades, from folks who actually put in work, who organize, and who make sure that we are on the right side of things. So, definitely shout out to our comrades for being consistent with the work they've been doing. How y'all feeling?
Comrades on. I'm feeling good, man. I'm energized after that. That was some revolutionary music.
Yeah, we had to check on it, man. Sometimes y'all be acting like y'all don't know what FTP do around here, man. Y'all be fronting. I don't know what's going on, man.
Yo, let's make that happen, man. Definitely.
Okay.
Sky Zoo. I like Sky Zoo music.
No doubt.
I'm familiar with his,
No doubt. Shout out to one of his top producers, my man AJ Amon Jackson, who co-produced the Rafa Siafu video we did. Excuse me, he produced the Rafa Siafu video. You know what I'm saying? So the music and everything. He just actually received his first Grammy this year, and my comrade and sister, who's been a part of this organization, who is now his ex-wife, she received the Grammy the same day, for a joint that she's on with Killer Mike. So yeah, we make sure that the people get that critical political propaganda. Because sometimes folks, some people think that because you saying something positive that people should automatically support your stuff. But I know some artists that call themselves revolutionary and we cool with it, but the stuff is whack.
Mm-hmm.
it's not a diss. I'm just saying, you know, we give you credit for trying. But, you know, I remember I was speaking at a spot one day and this brother tried to confront me while I was on stage. He's like, man, you'll never be playing my stuff, whatever. I'll be seeing you playing everybody else's stuff. I said, yo, my man, you know, yeah, you know, it's cool, whatever. Let's talk about this. Like, no, we can talk about it right now. I said, yo, man, you know, your shit's whack. It's like, you know what I'm saying? The beat is off. You know what I mean? The lyrics don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? And if you're going to compete against capitalism, and this ain't, I know some of y'all are probably like, how dare he say that? No. If you're competing against the state, if you're competing against capitalism, you have to be able to match or bring a greater game. You don't just say something positive and think that folks just supposed to, you know, make it rain. That ain't how it goes. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? We have to, the work we're doing, even here on the Rise Up Morning Show, we made a concerted effort to make sure that we bring in some younger forces. Because sometimes I think that, you know, again, arrogance is a serious thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, being oppressed and wanting to have some type of control or act as if we know everything based on how many years you've been on the planet. You know, one of the things that one of my OGs told me back in the day, I'm not going to say her name, she's an ancestor right now. She was telling me about how one of her elders told her a long time ago that, you know, some old mother effers ain't elders. They just old mother effers. And I say that right now because I got some folks that we know that 20, 30 years from now, because they've gotten older, don't mean they've gotten wiser. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? There's some folks that we know that we already know that just because they would be considered an elder to some folks, they wouldn't be people that you'd have talking to your children. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the reality of life. That's not, again. So we have to step our game up in the best way we can politically, and we got to have style. That's the reality of it, man. We gotta be fly with what it is you're doing. You don't just put on a dusty uniform just because you say you represent Black Power. That's not how it goes. Anyway,
hey, you know, I'm gonna challenge that a bit. You know,
please do.
I agree with you to an extent. I think like you know, for this artist, like for you and maybe for a lot of people, that might not be their taste, right? Yeah. But there may be a crowd or an outlet for what he's putting together. And the reason I say that is because we know there's a lot of music that's mainstream, people that's making a lot of money that's trash. So it's like you know, it probably was in your opinion and probably in a lot of people's opinion. But maybe the approach though, maybe instead of saying that, hey, your music is whack, like, hey, I ain't feeling this.
I would again, had he approached me a different way, I would have dealt with him a different way. You approached me, you came at me with the muscle in your chest. I mean, he's like up in front of the stage, like I'm supposed to get shook and be like, yo, play your stuff now. Nah, that ain't what I'm saying. And I respect art. Let me be clear about something, because I'm glad you raised that, brother. I respect art. I respect folks who are serious about whatever it is you're serious about. I respect your passion. I respect the fact that you're sincere about what it is you're trying to do, even if I don't agree with it. You know what I'm saying? But if you hand someone some music, right, and you want them to play it on a certain level, you're asking me to hook you up with somebody on the radio, so on and so forth. If you know it's not properly engineered, if you know not the sound's not correct, you know, if you recorded it literally in the bathroom, it's a demo. It's cool. Let's figure out how can we, you know, we take it to another level. But if you approach me, I'm just be straight up with you. I'm not some rude a-hole that I'm just gonna be like, yo, I don't like the stuff, it's whack. But if you muscle up on me and try to, I mean, what you expect me to say? Well, you know, brother, you know, I said, well, can we talk about this later? Nah, we can talk about it now. Okay, well, let's talk about it now. You know what I mean? Because your stuff is whack. And it's like, and that's what it is. And I think the thing is too, even what we're doing here, we don't have to, you know, we can't be afraid to give constructive criticism. We don't have to be antagonistic, but at the same time, if you're my comrade, I want you to be sharper than me, because I know that we gonna be all right. I don't mind being the weakest link, because I know if I'm the weakest link in the chain, we got a pretty good chain. And that's on everything. That ain't, no, I don't think I'm the sharpest. I don't think none of that. All I know is that we have to figure out how we gonna get free and how we gonna continue to move forward. But pushing up on people being disrespectful is not the way. You're not gonna win any forces over. Because this same brother I'm telling you about, I've seen him browbeat folks for not knowing as much as him, so on and so forth. So to a great extent, his style is kind of bullyish anyway. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm like, okay, well, you know what? No one's been brave enough to tell you what's what. And the folks that you run with, they're saying you're good because you're better than the last 10 things you did. But anyway, I get you.
I was just worried because when I dropped my single, I'm.
Oh no, I'm telling you, it's whack now. We ain't gotta go there. I'm gonna be a hater on your stuff. Before you get, it could be dope unless you got Black Thought, Jada, and a few other people in there with you. We saying it's whack out the gate. Bouna already thinking it's whack. Bouna's gonna be like, "What is this bullshit?"
I haven't listened to it yet, so I can't judge.
You ain't even gonna listen to it. I'm trying to say,
Bouna, just wait for us, Bouna.
Wait, don't do it. Bouna, listen. This the one time where you got to say, "Look, I don't understand." You know what I'm saying? You gotta act like it's a language barrier in order to save yourself. This brother. I'm trying to help you. You know what I mean? You see what he tried to do in front of the chairman. Ikemba tried to win his way back up to like, I'm gonna be there in 2 weeks, chairman, and whatever you need. Like, you get your ass out of here. Lollygagging. Anyway,
let's go.
Yeah, let's get it together, man. What we got on here, man? I mean, what was your thoughts on this interview?
It's a powerful interview, man. I'm glad we finally got the opportunity to get the chairman on. But he raised a lot of great points. I think even with the question that I had raised, he kind of deepened that a bit. Because I was looking for him to like go in on the state, and which he did, but just like really discuss that contradiction. But I think he did raise a great point as far as our struggle, our historical struggle, and we struggled for a space here, in this system, and if this is what America says that they stand for. It's up for us to sort of force them to live up to what they profess they stand for. And we at our struggle is going to like really bring out the contradictions, I think, within the system. That's what's happening now. But we have to struggle. We have to continue that struggle. But no, I just appreciate his answer because it kind of like really gave me a different perspective. I was, but at the same time, I understand the chairman's answer too on Black Power Media and on YouTube. Right. So he deepened it and he made a great point. But there's other conversations to be had when it comes to Africans' existence under the American state, and what we, what the future looks like as it pertains to America and African people here. But yeah, there's some thoughts, man.
I'm glad he censored himself because somebody else on this platform didn't want to censor themselves. Yes. Let Bouna because he about to jump out there, Bouna. Save us, Bouna.
No, man, I will admit though, being on YouTube, it's like
it's different.
I'm very self-conscious, you know what I'm saying? So when I'm speaking, I'm just like, But at the same time, you want to say what you feel. You want to keep it real to the people, but you got to understand where you are.
I mean, and you can still, you can still keep it real, but it's being savvy. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, it's like folks will bait you. Like Imam Jamil said, they take you off the offense and put you on the defense. And of course, we all know that many of us have been baited on the internet. Yeah. But the reality is, when you understand that your role and your mission as a freedom fighter or as a person that is interested in the liberation of African and colonized people, then we have to move the way we're moving, because we recognize that the particular tool that we're using right now, it's not our tool. Mm-hmm. And as we've seen from other platforms, whenever the state chooses to come along and say, we don't like what you're talking about, we're going to go ahead and yank that, then it's just yanked. And they don't care who you blame. You say, well, it's because of this person, because of that, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, what does it mean in the grand scheme of things? What we're doing, I appreciate, because hearing like folks like Bouna, and Fernando, who are on different continents, not even different countries, you know what I mean, who are transplants, for lack of better words, in the particular colony that they're currently located in. You know what I mean? But having the audacity, because to a great extent, the state looks at it as audacity when you say you are opposed, when you are diametrically opposed to the tortures, the terrorism, the brutalization, and the domination of humans, animals, plants, the environment. We're talking about a straight up parasite. We're talking about a straight up germ who is hell bent on the destruction of life, not just black people, not just people, just life as a whole. They'll put animals in a animal prison and call it the zoo. They'll put fish in a big fish bowl, take them from a whole nother part of the world, and for capitalism, place them in the middle of downtown Atlanta so people can just come and look at them. You understand what I'm saying? So, we say free the planet. But anyway, Bouna, I was on my chairman. What you got to say, brother?
No, I think it was very important having him here for, I would say, at least two reasons. Because he's one of the survivors of the campaign of repression that has actually defeated the Black liberation movement in the 1960s. And I think that the Black community in the US, well, I don't know what you guys think about that, but not only the Black community in the US, but the African people in the diaspora has still not recovered from that historic defeat. So I think having people like the chairman is, enables us to have the institutional memory that most of us lack, right? Because you might be doing some things that they have intended to do in the past, which were not successful. So it's a way for us to avoid the reinvention of failure, right? As the Yoruba Binoha would say. And the second reason why I think it was very important to have him on the show, and that was linked to the question that I asked him, is because I think that we as African people living in the diaspora, in the belly of the beast, belly of the colonial beast, we are still there to realize the type of trouble that we're in. Okay. Because I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of naive, people. I don't want to be judgmental or, complacent, but I think I'm quite worried when I see, the state of so-called African affairs, like the way we're organized. I don't want to sound like I think I'm better organized than the majority of our people. This is not what I think. In any case, if you're not, successfully organized, maybe we should change the people and not change the cause, But I think that, honestly, if I compare, the situation in France, in the UK, in the US, I don't think that people of African descent Africans and people of African descent are doing enough, to counter the imperialist colonial policies that are being implemented by the states of the countries where they're living, because it's a fight on several fronts. We cannot expect our brothers and sisters on the continent to do the whole fight. I mean, they're doing the best they can, as we've seen in Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, have expelled the French troops and are challenging the neo-colonial policies that are being implemented by the France, the US. In Niger they got rid of the US drone base there, one of the largest drone bases in the world. So they're doing part of the struggle, but we also have to carry out our own struggle. And I don't think that we're doing enough. And the fact that you have people like Chairman Omali Yeshitela has not deviated from his initial positions. The fact that he's not getting, in my view, the type of support that he would need, I think it doesn't reflect a good, trajectory on behalf, on part of our people. I don't want to sound like over pessimistic.
Yeah.
I think that we should do more. But at the same time, like I said, they raised more than $300,000, which I think we will be able to do here, which is also encouraging, right? So, yeah, maybe what I said should be nuanced.
You came with a full accountant. I know he's like, man, he said, on this day you raised $200,400, and on this day.
Actually, I don't know how, they're very well organized. I mean, the African People's Socialist Party has been around for over 50 years. It's one of the few organizations that has survived to that period, right? So it's very impressive. And one of the two, I have the chance to interact with the chairman and learn from him, I will definitely take the chance because,
it's criminal though, the fact that you have this white boy who is 78 years old, a convicted felon, and there's no chance of him being arrested, or any real charges sticking to him.
Yeah, of course, he might be the next president though.
Yes. But then you have Chairman Omale, who's 5 years older than him, facing 15 years. You know what I'm saying? Just to show you how, and we already know that Trump was in cahoots with everybody. You know what I'm saying? Russians. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, he walking around with files in his back pocket. Like, whatever. Like,
it's crazy, man. Yeah, I mean, it definitely points to the hypocrisy. In America, the democracy, Malcolm would say, right? But to that point of the chairman facing 15 years, we're talking about because of who, the organization may have been working with, right? Another nation. But I mean, when you think about it though, going to your point, Bouna, the Black community here in the States should be outraged, right? When a brother or sister is murdered by the hands of the police, we talk about police brutality. There's protests, people up in arms. Not enough, I would say, too, even with that, because look at Sonia Massey, right? There should be more outrage around that, but nobody's really paying attention to what's happening with the chairman and the Uhuru movement. We're talking about the FBI raiding the Uhuru movement's offices and the organization being on trial, and especially the history in America against our movement. The counterintelligence program, right? Knowing that they recently had another version, just still a continuation, because it didn't stop. But what was that Black extremist identity? But just knowing the history though, just knowing what happened with Fred Hampton, and the Black Panther, just knowing what happened with Robert F. Williams and the side with some of these people that you probably don't know. I won't say the masses know, like we know because we're in this movement, right? And so we make it our duty, even though we all should, but so a lot of these names they don't know. But I mean, Fred Hampton, they just had a movie about Fred Hampton, right?
I'm gonna give you some criticism real quick, brother. Just real quick.
Yeah.
we have to identify Chairman Fred as Chairman Fred Hampton because he's the chairman as well. And I think that and I'm saying that because we're accustomed, and I'm glad that, of course we give Chairman Omali his props. But the thing is, when it comes to the state, we identify the state as President Obama, Dr. such and such, Professor so and so. So I just wanted to point that criticism out because I'm just sitting here and I'm listening. Yeah.
Okay, Chairman Kalonji.
Hey, Kalonji was on fire. He was like, "Yo, if you do that one more time."
Nah, man.
No, you're right. You're right.
Nah.
But you're absolutely right. I'll take that. I'm self-critical for that.
Nah, it's all good.
Definitely.
I mean, it's us, and it's not for you or I, but some of the people that's watching as well, because we need folks to know that this is and how we go about correcting. You know what I'm saying? Not in an anti. Like, who you talking to? Nah, you know what I'm saying? It's like we have to address them as such. These brothers and sisters earn their positions and their ranks. So we give it to them.
Absolutely. So anyway. And Chairman Fred has a born day coming up too.
That's right, on the 30th.
We definitely should highlight the chairman coming close to that. That date.
We'll see if we can get Chairman Junior on. You know what I mean?
This dude, he's showing off now, man.
See, listen, Bouna. They said they'd get Chairman Omali on for 2 months. I'm like, I'm gonna just let y'all rock. I made one phone call to the man here. He said, wait, there's a brother from Impedum on it? I said, yeah. He said, why you didn't call me? I said, I don't know, Chap. I'm joking. I'm just joking, man. I messaged you. We know the brother.
But you actually have his number, which you don't know.
Yeah. There we go. All right.
What's that?
I lost my volume for a minute. My fault. Go ahead, Boone.
Oh, okay. No, I was just saying to Kalonji's point. I mean, it's crazy that you can try to overthrow the U.S. government, okay, which Trump has tried to do on the was it on the 6th of January 2021? He actually tried to overthrow the U.S. government, okay, like
basically
military, the folks who were there had guns, okay,
climbing
they
up
raided the
walls.
Congress,
Yeah.
and you can try to overthrow the U.S. government and get away with it. And if you're fighting U.S. imperialism, okay, with a black or white face, because I also really liked the fact that he pointed out that we have in the history of the U.S. they've never had so many black faces in key places. Okay, because basically you have a vice president who's black. Even under Obama, there were not so many blacks with key positions, right? Okay, him being black, had as president, obviously was the most powerful position. But now you have Langley, who's the head of AFRICOM, Charles Q. Brown, he's the head of the armed forces, and the ambassador of the U.S. at the UN, Linda Greenfield, if I'm not mistaken. She's also African. So, I mean, to that point, also shows the point that I don't think we realize, the extent of the trouble we're in. Because basically having Africans doing the dirty job, to destroy their own communities locally in the diaspora, but also their own country.
Yeah, could I say something? Yeah, can y'all hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just another point too. Speaking about Trump, during that time, I actually was invited to a call. I think I don't know, someone it was like a organizer, someone in New York City that I was connected with. They had a flyer for a meeting. I won't name the group, and if maybe in the future I'll name the group if y'all guys think that is cool. But this group, I'm on a Zoom call with this group, right? And they were talking about, this is after the whole Trump fiasco, the storming of the state capitol, right?
Yep.
They were talking about removing Joe Biden from the presidency. They were talking about doing like citizens, some sort of citizens arrest of like New York council people, state assemblies. This is what they were talking about on this call. They were organizing to do this, and they said it was their constitutional right to do so. It's in the Constitution. So they thought whatever they were going to do was legal, right? And then on that call, last thing on that same call, there was like an elder folk who it seemed like everyone respected. He seemed like he was the historian of the group, right? And they asked him to speak and give some words. And he said, one of the things I'll never forget, he said, the rightful government hasn't been in place since 1861. And I'm sitting there, I'm the only black person on this call, you know, I'm like, yo, what the hell? Nobody saying that was 1861, man. That's when the Civil War, you know, kicked off. You know, before 1861, you know, Africans were enslaved in this country. Still, you know, that's another conversation. We still talk about our state, but chattel slavery, right, existed. So that was the conversation that was being had on this call, man. So, you know, and these are people that's probably still walking around, but the chairman is facing 15 years.
It's absolutely insane, but this is what you know, as Imam Jamil, formerly H. Rap Brown, would say, this is what comes with war. And this is, you know, we have to be clear that, you know, we are at war, or we're in a war. You understand what I'm saying? And we are victims because, you know, we're delusional. So we think that, as Bouna pointed out, black faces in high places equals success. It doesn't equal success, it equals regress, because there are no high places for African people in capitalism. Because even if you sell out, you can get that chain yanked at any time. You only get so much leeway. You can only run around the yard so far. You know what I'm saying? I was thinking earlier when you was talking about Chairman Omali was talking about how folks, you know, you see some folks with Malcolm X, Martin, and Obama bumper sticker. You know, Obama would be closer to Leopold than he'd be Malcolm.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And folks don't realize now. Now, some people, me saying that, like, hold on now. Well, they probably wouldn't, because most people don't even know who the hell Leopold is. But that's a whole nother story. You know, so we have to be clear about, you know, who our enemy is, who our enemies are. We have to be clear that that we have to build a movement. We have to have our own propaganda machine. I want to point out, we got a couple minutes left, but I want to share something with folks in case you don't know about this right here. Again, our print magazine. We have a magazine that just dropped a few days ago. Look for it monthly. Every the middle of the month, we'll have this magazine. It's called Afro Pick. It'll be dropping. This was our inaugural issue here. As you can see, Assata Shakur is on the front, but we dedicated this in commemoration of Black August. Now, you can go to the website. It's blackpowermedia.org/shop. It's not going to cost you nothing. It's going to say add to the cart and all that. You don't have to put your credit card in. You don't have to do any of that type stuff. All you have to do is sign up at the website. You become a member of the website, you get the magazine. It goes to your email. You know what I mean? So, again, we're also looking for more writers. We have, you know, all types of different, we have the second issue right now is already powerful. I'm just going to say that so folks can be clear about it. And, you know, you're not going to get what we're giving you in too many places. You know what I mean? You can come, you can check out this morning show. It's dope. We have all types of different people on it. You can check out Black Power Media. It's dope. You got all kinds of people on it. You have a magazine, so on and so forth. But that's just on the strength. Now, we do accept donations. As you can see scrolling at the bottom of the screen, we're not going to beg you for your money. However, we do and will appreciate folks saying, you know what? We like what these brothers and sisters are doing. They're coming with it. They're going to have, we're coming with magazines. We're coming with film. books, so on and so forth. New show popping off next week with Dr. Joy James and others. Monday coming, Monday at 9 a.m. So you can look out for that. And, like I said, man, we're trying to give you that critical political action and satisfaction. So definitely appreciate you all. Share our works and share our efforts, because we are our own marketing and promo team. We know that it's, folks, some people have a vested interest in stopping what we're doing. But let me tell you, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen at all, because of the fact that we roll with African people. We roll with forces that are greater than our opposition. So we say we wish all African people the best if they're on the right side of the barricades. And if you're not, you know the rest. Anyway, we're going to wrap up. We're going to be seeing you again tomorrow right here on the Rise Up Morning Show. Appreciate you, comrades, for holding it down. And till next time.
Right on.
Stay on point. Uhuru.
Sometimes the riot is a quiet one, or the battle is to love yourself and function in society where voices of reason are muted by anxiety, like gaining notoriety is selling your soul. So we tend to go no deeper than the shallow water level, trying to keep us overhead in the face of all the slurs and the stares, until they frozen, paralyzed by fear of failure and success. So we lock, stock, barrel, running while it's crumbling. All these towers and they're babbling, but the baby's in the bath and the stash under the bed on my head, spinning from the circles and the puppets and the strings that they pull. Then we move. Reactionary warfare never produces winners on the field. Feeble and foolish. What tools and what weapons are we using? We need some new ones. Real revolution. It's real solutions. What we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division. Got my inner me looking like my enemy. Real revolution. Where my inner me really a mirror for the galaxy. New time, brand new paradigms, new contracts to sign. They thought that this would all be televised, though it's happening right before our very eyes. It's on the inside, with their guns cocked. When that rock drops, standing on the rooftop, praying that the mountaintop can live inside the valley. People tell me the reward is somewhere off in heaven, like heaven's only in the sky. A chariot's a swinging, like God is something separate from yourself, from your wealth, from your lover, from your neighbor. Oh, your savior is coming in your own name, coming with the face the same. Real revolution. It's real solutions. Where we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division. Got my inner me looking like my enemy. Real revolution. Where my enemy is really a mirror for the galaxy.